Every foot of these 68 acres is alive with excitement. The Fairfield County Fair is a world all its own, and you'll see the old and the new. Since 1851, hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children have looked forward to Fair Week at the foot of Mount Pleasant.
Agriculture is so deeply rooted in Fairfield County. That is really where, life started. That is what was sort of the center of life in this county with all our rich fair fields, as they called it. And that impacted the lives of all the people here. And so to me, that's the centerpiece of our early history. And the fairgrounds is a good place to capture and hold on to those memories and that history.
The fair is so important because for 175 years, it's brought generations of people together to celebrate our values, just our community. And people love that. And we love that as a Visitors Bureau. We have new people coming in, experiencing our community.
I look at the buildings, I look at the log cabin, I look at the grandstand, I look at the buildings along Fair Avenue, and I say to myself, what beautiful buildings. I say to myself, it's nice that I can help take care of them. I say to myself, it's nice that Steve Eversole and Dean Miller also takes good care of everything on the fairgrounds.
Of the years you can look back on, and as they go along and we count them one at a time for this fine operation, would there be a certain era, a certain year you could pick out as a real favorite?
Actually, the war years were the hardest for us.
Why would that be, Mr. Owen?
The shortage of transportation, labor. Actually, the exhibits were very scarce, concessionaires were scarce, everything was hard to get.
Related problems for those attending, in other words.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mr. Alton, what about your philosophy of life now? Really, what makes the Fairfield County Fair? What really makes it what it is today?
It's the participation of the community. Everybody working for one goal. And that's the Fairfield County Fair.
People make the fair.
To me, I feel like the fair is just like a big kind of like celebration of all of like our hard work that we've poured into like these projects and all of our animals and everything. I have a lot of friends and family that come and like visit the fair, and my friends through 4-H, and I feel like all my friends and their families are kind of like my family, like they're like my second family. So I feel like the biggest part of like the Fairfield County Fair to me is like just like the big family aspect of it. Like I feel like we're all just one big family, and I feel like that makes it really special to me and really like near and dear to my heart.
All 10 years I've been involved in market hogs in some facet or another. The first 9 years were primarily market hogs, so I would take 2 crossbred hogs every year, show those live. I did a carcass project my 3rd or 4th year, which was a very cool experience actually. And then in addition to all of the hogs, I also show our Scottish Highland cattle at the fair. We got into those 4 or 5 years ago. So we've been taking them to the fair for the last 4 or 5 as well.
I always like to invite my friends over to the fair in the evenings because we unfortunately don't get the week off or any days off during the fair because we're in Pickerington. But the, Fairfield County has so many amazing things, especially being in the fall. It really makes it stand out from most county fairs in Ohio. But we have things like the Demolition Derby, the Combine Derby, Rodeo, all these amazing things that happen in the evening that I try to invite my friends to, while also being able to teach them about the projects that we participate in.
When I was a freshman at Capital University, I was in a speech class and we were to do a demonstration. My demonstration was on how to make an apple pie. So then that weekend I went to my grandparents, and my siblings were still in 4-H. My grandfather often entered the horses in the open class. The open class book was there. I flipped to the baking and thought, I think I'll give this a try. So I've been entering over 50 years.
It feels like home in a lot of ways because I remember going with all of my family. I mean, I'm an only child, but I have a lot of cousins and grandparents, and I was fortunate that they were all, living and growing up. And it's something you just do. If you're from Fairfield County and you're a native, you just do it. And we so have always enjoyed it.
Some guys and I, years ago, back in the 90s, got together and bought a bunch of station wagons and got them all worked up and ran in the Demolition Derby. I told my wife, nobody ever gets hurt, don't worry about it, till they carried me off in an ambulance that night. It was a hoot. The other thing, Pierce's Waffles, man. I mean, you've got to go to the bottom of the grandstand right there by the ticket booth, and you've got to get a sugared waffle from Pierce's.
My granddad actually started exhibiting at the fair in 1912, and we've been at every fair since then. Then probably in the 1940s, early 1940s, Granddad came up with this recipe, and it's his own recipe made from scratch for sugar waffles. And they're a treat that really are only known in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana. So yes, they're still made from scratch using Granddad's secret recipe, modified only to the extent that when it was not written down until the year before he passed away, and my uncle had retired and come back to help at the fair. And he helped my granddad with each batch measure out his handfuls of this and spoonfuls of that to get it to measurements that are what my sister and I use today.
I have a blast every time we go there, and I didn't used to come down for the fair. I didn't really realize all that was there. In over the last 7-8 years as I've been a commissioner, we so look forward to Fair Week, and we pick out different things that we want to come down for, and you got to go get the sugar waffles, and just all the things like that are really unique to this event. I think anybody who comes once is hooked.
And I might be old-fashioned, but as a kid and then now as a grown-up, my Fair Week is not complete until I walk through the art hall to see all of the old displays, the produce, the baking stuff, the Grange displays. It's elaborate. And so Art Hall's number one, and I always make a pilgrimage to the Brown Cattle Barn because it is so unique, it can't be rebuilt. No other fairgrounds has it.
Well, what really makes it special, it's the very last fair of the season. When I look at some of the other fairs that are in midsummer and whatnot, that's not what fairs are about. The fairs are about when you get into the cooler temperatures and the transition between summer and fall. Fairfield County Fair is not only the last fair of the season, but it's the best fair of the season.
Welcome to Fairfield County Fair, Lancaster, Ohio, the last county fair.
The Fairfield County Agricultural Society has taken great pains to preserve the past for the youth of today.
Sold to calf at $3.20 a pound. Let's give him a hand there, ladies and gentlemen.
In particular, ladies, 10 young ladies, and you know that we're all going to be okay.
There truly is something for everyone at the Fairfield County Fair.
To me, it is, with Mount Pleasant as the background, is one of the most beautiful and historical fairgrounds in the state of Ohio.